Everyone says tap to pay is simple. That's interesting because most people tense up the second the machine beeps. We all pretend we understand what just happened. The pretending is the revealing part. You tap, the screen flashes, and there's a half-second of doubt about amounts, tips, or trust. For years, the rule was straightforward. You handed over a card, someone walked away with it, you waited, you signed a slip you barely read. We called that normal. Now the card never leaves your hand, but the unease is louder. Not because risk increased, but because visibility changed. Tap to pay didn't arrive to make things mysterious. It arrived because the old system aged badly. Magnetic stripes were easy to copy. Chips slowed lines. Phones already sat in pockets with secure hardware. Contactless wasn't a leap forward. It was a practical patch layered onto existing rails. The real change is what moves during a tap. Your card number doesn't travel. A one-time token, created by your bank and stored securely, takes its place. It works once, then expires. Intercepting it gets nothing reusable. That's not reassurance language. That's the architecture doing its job. That design explains why contactless beats the stripe and matches the chip. Stripes broadcast everything. Chips negotiate slowly. Taps hand over disposable stand-ins. The beep isn't approval to drain accounts. It's confirmation that a temporary token was accepted and nothing more traveled with it. In the United States, this rides on older rules that still matter. Visa and MasterCard operate under zero-liability policies. Banks usually cover fraud if it's reported quickly. That hasn't changed. What changed is speed, which can feel like finality even when the process still has reversibility. Most anxiety comes from the screen, not the payment. Tip prompts appear instantly. Percentages are highlighted. Someone waits. That pressure is cultural, not technical. Custom tips and no-tip options exist, often hidden. Tipping remains a choice. Confirming the amount is the only requirement. Modern checkout compresses decisions. That's the adjustment. The pause that used to happen while a card disappeared now belongs to you at the counter. You're asked to read before reacting. The system didn't remove the pause. It relocated it, then shortened it dramatically. Once that's clear, the operation makes sense. The device authenticates you with Face ID or a fingerprint before the tap counts. The token moves. The network approves. Settlement happens later, exactly as before. Speed lives at the front end. The back end stays familiar. Behavior eventually catches up. Phone wallets with biometrics add protection. Bank notifications add immediate feedback. Amount, merchant, time appear quickly. Control actually increases while the motion shrinks. Less handling doesn't mean less oversight. It means oversight happens differently. The remaining discomfort isn't theft. It's losing old choreography. We used to watch the process unfold. Now it's quiet. Quiet systems feel suspicious until understood. Add tip screens and social pressure, and payment becomes a performance layered on top of a secure transaction. The practical stance stays boring. Check the amount. Choose the tip intentionally, including zero. Tap deliberately. Let the token work. Report problems promptly. Over time, the beep sounds like a receipt, not a trap. Tap to pay isn't asking for trust. It's asking for attention. Once the initial flinch passes, tap to pay turns out to be ordinary. Nothing mystical happens at the counter. No money moves through the air. What changes is timing. The front of the process speeds up, while everything behind the scenes behaves exactly the way it always has. When a card or phone is tapped, the real card number never travels. The bank creates a one-time substitute called a token. That token works for that single purchase and then expires. If intercepted, it cannot unlock anything else or expose the underlying account. This design explains why contactless improves on the magnetic stripe. The stripe broadcasts everything. The chip negotiates slowly. The tap hands over a disposable credential. Faster does not mean looser. It means narrower exposure, fewer reusable details, and less to steal even if someone tried. In the United States, this technical layer sits on top of long-standing liability rules. Visa and MasterCard operate under zero-liability policies. Banks generally back customers who report fraud promptly. That safety net did not vanish with tapping. Only the speed of approval changed. That speed is what creates unease. Approval happens instantly, which can feel final even though settlement still occurs later, exactly as it always has. The money does not disappear. It moves through the same systems, on the same timelines, just with less ceremony at the front. Most anxiety comes from the screen, not the payment rail. Tip prompts appear immediately. Percentages are highlighted. Someone waits nearby. That pressure is cultural, not technical. Custom tips and no-tip options exist, often hidden. Tipping remains a choice. Confirming the amount is the requirement. Modern checkout compresses decisions. The pause that once happened while a card disappeared now belongs to the customer at the counter. Reading before reacting is the new choreography. The pause did not vanish. It relocated and shrank, which takes adjustment. Once understood, the sequence is simple. The device authenticates the user with Face ID or a fingerprint before the tap counts. Then the token moves. The network approves. Settlement follows later. Speed lives at the front. The back end remains familiar and unchanged. Behavior gradually catches up. Phone wallets with biometrics add protection. Bank notifications provide immediate feedback. Amount, merchant, and time appear within seconds. Control increases even as physical motion decreases. Less handling does not mean less oversight. Oversight simply moves earlier. The lingering discomfort is rarely about theft. It is about losing the old choreography. People once watched the process unfold. Now it is quiet. Quiet systems feel suspicious until understood. Tip screens add social pressure, turning payment into a brief performance layered on security. The practical stance stays boring. Check the amount. Choose the tip intentionally, including zero when appropriate. Tap deliberately. Let the token work. Report issues quickly if they appear. Over time, the beep sounds less like a warning and more like a receipt. Tap to pay is not asking for blind trust. It asks for brief attention at the right moment. When that attention is applied calmly for a second or two, the transaction shrinks back to its proper size, and the system does what it was built to do quietly. The useful shift is realizing the world didn't suddenly speed up out of spite. We paused our updates while systems kept refining themselves. Everyone pretends they know when to trust a tap and when not to. That pretending shows up at the counter, right before the beep, during a brief, familiar hesitation. That moment matters because the mechanics are settled now. What's left is judgment. Tap to pay works best when three things are true. You control the device, you can see the final amount, and the interaction finishes in one motion without backtracking or improvisation. Grocery stores, pharmacies, transit gates, and large retailers are clean environments for this. The screen shows the total. The tap happens once. The receipt follows. Nothing feels performative. In those cases, tapping isn't a risk move. It's simply the narrowest, least exposed way to complete payment. It's reasonable to slow down when those conditions break. If the amount isn't visible yet, wait. If the tip screen appears before the total, read carefully. If someone asks for a second tap because it didn't go through, pause and check notifications before doing anything else. None of that is paranoid, it's procedural. The system is designed to complete in one pass. Deviations deserve attention, not panic. You're not accusing anyone. You're just confirming that the process matches the design you're relying on to protect you. There are also moments when declining contactless makes sense without explanation. A damaged terminal, a handheld reader with a cracked screen and no clear total, a setup that doesn't inspire confidence. Using chip or cash there isn't backward. It's matching the tool to the context. Phone wallets deserve a separate note. Apple Pay or Google Pay with Face ID or a fingerprint adds a gate plastic cards don't have. Even if a phone is grabbed, the wallet doesn't open without you. Combined with instant alerts, awareness actually increases rather than fades. You see the amount, merchant, and time almost immediately. Oversight happens faster, not slower. The motion is smaller, but the feedback loop tightens. That's an upgrade if you let it work the way it's designed. The tip screen deserves less emotion than it gets. Percentages are designed to be noticed, not obeyed. There's almost always a custom button and often a no-tip option. That's a design choice, not a moral instruction. Confirming the amount is the obligation. The rest is preference. What helps most people is deciding rules in advance. If the total is clear, tap. If it isn't, wait. If the reader asks for something unexpected, stop. If the environment feels off, switch methods. Defaults remove pressure when a line is forming behind you. Shielding matters too. Keep contactless cards in sleeves. Don't stack them. Let the reader see one credential at a time. These are small habits, but they align with how the system expects to operate and reduce accidental confusion without adding effort. The broader perspective stays calm. We handled dial-up tones, busy signals, and ATMs that ate cards. We can handle a tap that beeps too quickly. You don't have to chase trends or prove comfort. Keep pace, apply attention briefly, and let the rest run quietly.